Hi. What investigation are you doing for science?
I'm investigating the relationship between radius and circumference.
But we already know from maths that circumference equals 2 pi times radius.
Yes. I know that. But the teacher said that we are just learning to do investigations, so it is okay to investigate something we already know. To practice.
So how did you do your investigation?
I measured the radius and circumference for each of these things. I recorded the measurements in a table, then I drew a graph of the results. I recorded my results in a table, and here is my graph.
Is that what it is supposed to look like?
Yes. Of course. You said you knew that circumference equals 2 pi times radius. Didn't you? So, a graph of radius on the horizontal axis and circumference on the vertical axis will be a straight line.
What has that got to do with anything?
It is just like we did in maths. When y equals mx plus b. In my investigation, it is circumference instead of y, and radius instead of x.
But how does that prove anything?
The straight line on the graph shows that circumference is proportional to radius. The slope of the graph even tells me that 2 pi is the constant.
I wish my investigation was that easy.
Why? What's your investigation?
I need to investigate the relationship between wavelength and frequency for a wave.
Well, do you know any mathematical relationship between wavelength and frequency?
Oh yeah. My physics notes told me velocity equals frequency times wavelength.
So, can you rearrange that equation to make either frequency or wavelength the subject of the equation?
Yes. I think I can do that. Which one should I make the subject of the equation? The wavelength or the frequency?
Your independent variable is the one you change, and so should go on the horizontal x-axis. So your dependent variable should be the subject of the equation, like y.
I decided what the frequency was, so frequency would be my independent variable.
So, doesn't that make wavelength your dependent variable? Rearrange your equation to make wavelength the subject of the equation.
Does that mean I plot wavelength on the vertical axis and frequency on the horizontal axis?
No. That would give you a curved graph. You need to make wavelength the subject of the equation. Then it will be wavelength equals velocity times 1 over frequency.
So, the horizontal axis should be 1 over the frequency.
You may find then that the gradient of the graph will be the same as the velocity, if you were measuring that.
Thanks you ever so much. Now I know what to do for my physics investigation on waves.
Okay. Just make sure you remember how to do this for all of your other physics investigations.